What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be previewing the Collingwood Fremantle game. Let's get into it. So we're just going to jump right into this interview. There's nothing to sort of shout out beforehand. So, did I say interview? I meant preview. Let's get right into this preview. Collingwood take on Fremantle at the MCG Saturday afternoon, which is going to be a good game. It's going to be a big game. Kids go free. I think it's under 14. You get a free ticket for the kids, which is amazing. And we want to fill up the G. We want to fill up the G because we need just shy of 65,000 fans to come through, Collingwood and Fremantle fans, and fans who just want to watch the game, through to the MCG to break 1 million fans coming to Collingwood games. Now, that's not just 1 million Collingwood fans, it's 1 million Collingwood and opposition fans coming to Collingwood games, home and away games, which is absolutely huge. I don't have a stat to say who has been the quickest to that, but I dare say that by round 18, to hit 1 million fans, if we can get 65,000, which we might, that would be pretty quick. You would think it would be pretty quick. 1 million fans. We were just playing champagne football. It's a nice brand of football. It's a fun brand of football. It's an exciting brand of football, and that's why we are getting people through the gates, and that's why you and I go to watch the Pies, because we know what we're getting week in, week out. We love the club, and it's no different against Fremantle on Saturday. So just quickly, last week, Fremantle got absolutely smashed, demolished by Carlton. Now, I had tipped Fremantle because it was at Optus Stadium. Fremantle needed to win. They were one win from their last 4 games. Now they're one win from their last 5 games. They're 14th. Their finals trajectory is just, they're probably not going to make finals now. They started with so much promise. They're the second youngest team, so I kind of get it. But against Carlton, they got absolutely smashed. Now, Carlton went into that game with no ruckman, no Pitternet, no De Koning. They had Jack Silvani, Lewis Young, and Harry Mackay take ruck duties. Now get this, they lost the ruck tap-outs 74 or something, 70-something to like 18. So Sean Darcy racked up 70 hit-outs. Fremantle lost the clearances. Now, where have we seen this before? Just a couple of years ago with Brodie Grundy in there, especially that GWS 2019 prelim. I think he had over 50 hit-outs, and we lost clearances, and then we started to see that, wow, maybe you don't really need recognised ruckmen. If those 3 Carlton players who aren't ruckmen can go over to Optus Stadium and beat Jackson and Sean Darcy at their own game, that's incredible. Like, look, okay, sorry, it wasn't them beating them because they won hit-outs. It was also their midfielders knew how to shark the ball. So, Chera, Walsh, Cripps, whoever else they've got running through the middle, they knew how to shark the ball from Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson's hits to make them, it'll be a hit-out to advantage for a Carlton player, not to a Fremantle player. So that is definitely something that we can look at exploiting. Yes, we do have better ruckman than Carlton went in going, so it will be a little bit more of a contest. But if their midfield isn't working with their ruckman, Nick Daicos, Nick had 6 clearances in the first quarter last week against the Doggies. Who's to say he can't get 10 clearances if that's what Fremantle will put up this week against us? Speaking of last week, Collingwood versus the Doggies, it was a bit of a weird one. We started poor in the first quarter. Our third quarter, which is historically, this season anyway, our worst quarter, was our best quarter. Smashed them. I think we kicked 8 goals to their 1 in that quarter, I'm pretty sure. And we kicked a bunch of goals. That's what I'm trying to say. And then we will go on and win that game by 12 points. So, good win-ish. I would have liked to have seen another 4-quarter effort, but we know that we can play these random quarters. Like, we know we can play a really good third quarter. I just want to see a little bit more consistency, and I'm hoping we get that for this Fremantle game. Now, ins and outs. Team won't come out till tomorrow night, but we know that Collingwood will be with Steele Sidebottom. Braden Maynard is coming back, and for his first AFL game since April, since injuring his finger, Dan McStay, since Gather Round, finally, We have just been calling out for a big-bodied key forward, and I know he had 5 disposals in the VFL. It's his first game back, right? But with no checkers in that forward line, Billy Frampton wasn't doing much as a forward, like we talked about in the review of that Collingwood Western Bulldogs game. He is going to just be a godsend. Even if he doesn't kick a goal, he's going to compete. He can take a mark. He's going to be a main focal point for the Fremantle defenders. So then that's when Bobby Hill, when Jamie Elliott, when all these other players can get creative, Mason Cox, when they all can get creative around him. He's going to get a nice little run into finals. This is when Dan McStay's season starts. This is when we finally get to see what he's all about. Because you got to think that at the start of the season, I think he only played the Geelong, Port, and maybe half of the Richmond game as a forward. Then he was chucked into the ruck for the next couple of games because Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox goes down. So it changed our dynamic. We haven't seen him as that big, powerful key forward that we brought him in on. So we get to see that on Saturday against Fremantle with no Mycheck as well. So this is they're not going to get into each other's way. So this is going to be a really, really interesting game to see how McStay goes. And of course, Steele Sidebottom comes back from that MCL injury. Braden Maynard comes back from that rest/shoulder injury. So we are very, very well positioned. Who comes out of the team? Well, Hoskin Elliott with a broken hand definitely comes out of the team. I think Bianco might come out of the team. And I think we can afford to have Frampton out of the team. As much as I'm a big backer of Frampton, I think we can afford to have him out of the team for now because we should be able to take on Fremantle's forward line with our backs that we have currently. Now, Fremantle will have some injury troubles of their own. Hayden Young won't play. Brennan Cox won't play. I heard on the grapevine that Luke Jackson went out of training early, so I don't know what's going on there. That's a wait and see. And Caleb Sarong, one of their best players, probably their top 5 players at the moment, isn't playing because of that sling tackle. Whether you agree with it or not, he's not playing. So they've got a whole raft of really good players not playing, not including Luke Jackson, because that's just a rumor that I heard. They've got a whole raft of really good players not playing. Hayden Young, one of their better players, was one of their best in a shitty performance last week. He's not playing. Sarong, obviously, and then Brennan Cox. So we have a really, really big opportunity to put a high number against them. Against Fremantle and get that percentage boost, because when it comes down to it, we're definitely going to need that percentage over Port Adelaide in that top 2. Now, where can we exploit Fremantle? Yes, we can exploit them with their injuries and their lack of players in their second youngest list, right? They are ranked 17th in contested possession, which is, it just shows me that they're not going in for the hard ball. Where Carlton won, they set it up in that first quarter. It was, repeat entries inside 50, so just hammering their defense. It was creating turnovers. It was high intensity. It was a high tackling. And that is what Collingwood is sort of known for as well without the ball. We are very good at creating the other team's turnovers. Sometimes we just don't do a lot with those turnovers. We talked about that a few weeks ago, or probably over a few weeks ago before the bye. So we can create those turnovers. We know that we can do that. We know that we're really good inside 50 with our elite midfield. This midfield is now elite. You add Nick Dacos, you got Jordan De Goey back into that midfield, and you'll have Steele Sidebottom. So now we've got that elite midfield going into the forward 50. We have those main focal points. So if we can create that high turnover, high intensity, repeat inside 50 game, Fremantle will not know what hit them. They won't have any answers, especially with the host of their good players out. They're not going to have any answers to us. Yes, they've still got really good players. They still have Sean Darcy in that forward line. In the ruck. They still have Brayshaw. They got O'Meara doing his thing, and a couple of other guys. So if they want to, and we know what to expect. Whenever a team plays Collingwood, we know they're going to play like it's their grand final, like it's their last game on earth. It's at the MCG. It's probably going to be in front of 60,000 or so people. It's pretty much prime time, Saturday afternoon. No one's going to be doing anything. They're going to be watching this game. So Fremantle need to stem the blood loss that they've got at the moment, winning one of their last 5 games. They want to show something to finish the season. Like I said, I don't think finals is on the cards for them. But Justin Longmire will want to show the board as well, or the club, that he has these guys going in the right direction, because they do have a good core of players. It's just that they haven't been clicking. We definitely know that they are going to click when the time is right against Collingwood. Like, what better way to show the coach that you can play with by knocking out or knocking off, the top of the summer, the top of the ladder. So they're going to throw everything at us. I don't expect this to be an easy game. Yes, I think we're going to win by about 40 or so points, but I don't expect it to be a super easy game. Collingwood aren't going to want to go into this game thinking that we're just going to win, because Fremantle lacked any sort of intensity. Like I said earlier, they lacked any sort of passion at their home ground. And like I just said, they're going to show and they're going to bring everything that they can to try and knock us down. We're going to sustain a lot of punches before we hit the final blow. Historically, Fremantle aren't a good starting first quarter side. So historically, we are a good first quarter side. Oh, I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied there, except for sort of last week. So if we can start on fire first up, if we can go that first quarter, I don't know, 6 or 7 goals to 1 to 2 goals, Fremantle, that would be huge in sort of just putting them on the back burner straight away. The Doggies started really quickly. They got off to a 3 or 4 goal start. We can't let Fremantle do that, because that's when they start piping up, and then we have to work all the way back. So I want to see a 6 or 7 goal quarter by the Pies to a 1 or 2 goal quarter by Fremantle. Now, my big calls and predictions. I know I said all this stuff about passion and they're going to come and hit us hard, blah, blah, blah. I do think Collingwood are going to win by over 40 points. I'm going to say 47-point winners, and I'm going to say Nick Dacos to have 40-plus disposals, and Jamie Elliott to continue his form. He's going to kick 4 goals. And he's probably going to surge into All-Australian form if he can kick 4 goals, because Jamie Elliott is on absolute fire. 11 goals in his last 3 games, which is just chef's kiss. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. And also, just before I go, I am doing pre-game and post-game fan cams, or swooping around as I like to call it. Go on my Instagram. I think it'll probably, whatever gate the Ponsford stand is at. I think that's gate 1 or gate. I think it's gate 1. But go on my Instagram on game day and you'll see me post up where I'm going to be. So make sure you jump on that. It's always a little bit of fun. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tay family, tay friends, tay pets, and until next time, double shakers. I'll swoop you later.